We're going to go back to statistical anxiety predictors. So the predictor for lowering statistical anxiety is learning strategies. So Miguel and I just skimmed over just a few learning strategies to help you get started in this statistical analysis journey. So overall, it is important to understand that statistical proficiency and skills take time. And instead of aiming to know all statistical techniques, really only focus, and this is really important, only focus on the one or two that you need for your current project. Do not come into grad school thinking you're going to be a statistical expert and you're going to know every statistical procedure out there. That's not realistic. I mean, over time, when you get into the profession and get more exposed to different projects, that's when you could start growing your statistical knowledge. But as a student, we highly recommend that you just focus on just very few and only focus on the task at hand so that you get through the milestones you need to graduate. So it's really important that you prioritize and invest the time to learn those techniques. Allow yourself plenty of time for this training phase. It's helpful not to get too bogged down by mathematical formulas too much. So I am a statistics professor for both undergraduate and graduate students. I do have to go over mathematical formulas for the very basics like variance and such. But as I get through the more complicated statistical concepts, I just boil it back down to the foundational terms and definitions, as opposed to having people memorize what certain formulas are at the end. For example, like power analysis. So we do not need to understand the equations for more advanced statistical concepts. So in that respect, then it's really important that you aim at the very high level statistical training, that you aim for conceptual understanding. So just have a gist of what's going on. And as I said, to achieve that fluency, just review the basic terms that you had in your introduction classes. Variance is used all the time, error, power, effect size, all that is really important to understand the more complex statistical procedures. As far as software, make sure that you give yourself some time to practice on other data sets first to become more familiar with inputting the data and interpreting the output. Okay, so you do not use the software, whether it's SPSS or R, for the first time on your own data set. Practice with other data sets using the instructional resources that Miguel and I had presented to you. And after you do that for a few times, then you can use that process for your own data in your own chosen statistical program or application. And it's really important, grad students, they say, we're gonna, and we've all been grad students, they're just gonna make sure they study, get all A's and do well. Well, it's equally important to network, at this stage. You need to network with students, professors, even outside of academia, who are interested in research design and statistics. So it's really important to use this network to not only learn about their projects so that you have a better idea of what's going on out there, to explore or be exposed to different types of statistical analyses and research methods. But it's also important for you to bounce your own ideas off of them for feedback, so that you can seek out new approaches in case you get stuck. So we're here as a community to learn from each other. And who knows, maybe you could even offer some new insights or something, like some important information to professors. So it's really important for us to have that really, fluid exchange of ideas. And we're all happy that you're here, because that means that you're a good student. So it's really important to minimize statistical anxiety. It's really important to seek out resources. So be proactive in seeking out resources. Attend workshops such as this. Find some associations that deal with research methods and statistics. Go to conferences so that you could learn about and talk about your own work. And so learn about others' work and talk about your own work. And it's a really good habit. Whenever there's opportunity, just try to take it as often as you can. And it's never a good idea to be a passive learner in graduate school. You have to go out there and learn it yourself. So the key takeaways is to acknowledge your fears. So be mindful of how you view statistics in general. What's the source of the discomfort? Are you feeling uncomfortable because of a particular statistical analysis that you don't know what to do or how to do it? And so do you feel uncomfortable about that? Is that causing you nightmares? Or is it more of like a general kind of self-criticism type of dynamic happening? So you have to be very mindful about what the source of your fears are so that you can tackle them. So if it's something as discrete as a particular statistical analysis or a methodology that you're not unfamiliar with, use that source of discomfort to propel yourself to find resources to help you through, right? So don't try to ruminate, but try to find resources. And I'm going to go through quickly because I know we're running out of time. Sorry about that. So statistical analysis takes trial and error, maintain focus, consider different ways you can view your data based on your hypothesis, gather resources for procedures you need to know now, keep a journal to record a list of goals, like I said, and again, network with the professors and students by taking statistics class. And we're all happy to help. And here are some resources that you can use. So there's a UNLV Science Cafe, there's American Statistical Association, and Nevada ASA. Miguel is actually a part of the American Statistical Association. And if you need help, we could also serve in committees as well. So Miguel is a part of the epidemiology and biostats department, and I'm part of the psychology department.